What's up, Brooklyn? It's lunchtime.
And you know what that means? Time to take a break and spend the next 30 minutes with us.
Why?
Because BK's
In the house.
Rock the beat.
I'm Fred Brown.
And I'm Kai Youngblood.
And welcome to this new edition of BK in the House, your daily dose of everything Brooklyn. Halfway through the year already, Kai. I love it because summertime is here.
Yes, it's my favorite time of year. Hot time in the city. And I love Brooklyn so much because of all the great things it has to offer. Parades, festivals, the food.
Beaches, parks, Beyonce at the Barclays Center. We got it all, and we're going to bring you a little bit of that right here in this show. Food, sports, and even a local regatta race.
Yes, and I can't wait. But before we get into that, let's take a look at some of the top national headlines and how they are affecting Brooklynites locally. It's been a year since this black and white photo of a 17-year-old Trayvon Martin wearing a hoodie became a national symbol of what can happen to a teenager in the wrong place at the wrong time. George Zimmerman, the accused neighborhood watch coordinator who fatally shot Martin, is currently standing trial and America is watching. Stand your ground versus racial profiling. This is an ongoing debate that's sure to strike an emotional chord.
Let's take a look at how one parent reacted in Brooklyn at a memorial service held last year.
My son is 16. He wears a hoodie every day. I avoided emotionally getting involved in Trayvon Martin in terms of the whole idea because, you know, I think about my son walking out the door and not coming back. And that's a heavy thing to think about as a parent, you know. I immediately think about the fact that, you know, I'm very involved in my son's life. I coach his football team and work with him, and we've done everything together. He's like one of my best friends, and to imagine every one of those experiences being taken away, the opportunity to see him grow and to become something and achieve, and you know, it's kind of like when that proverbial scene in Roots where a black man holds his child up to the sky and he's thinking about all the things he can be, and to have that kind of snatched away over something as trivial as someone's idea, a concept of who you are, not what your reality is as a black man. You know, not that you're a criminal, but the concept that you may be one. And I think it's important for us to talk about it.
U.S. immigration reform is back in the spotlight as the feds try to decide the fate of over 1 million undocumented residents still living here. President Obama's DREAM Act calls for a shorter so-called path to U.S. citizenship by cutting red tape in the green card process and offering special consideration for multi-generation families and college students. Another challenge for lawmakers is border control. The House is split on the decision, and it's not going anywhere. This is going to be a huge debate moving forward.
Yes, especially when you consider that in the 2010 census, 38% of Brooklynites claim to have been born outside the country, and half of Brooklyn's 2.5 million residents speak another language other than English.
And that's a huge chunk of folk, and for me, what makes Brooklyn so unique and so special is this idea of cultural and ethnic diversity.
Yes, and that's going to be a tough decision for Congress to make because one idea that's being tossed around is to deport immigrants that don't have proper documentation, such as a passport or a green card.
And imagine the logistics on that. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it, but we're going to be keeping a watchful eye on that decision as Congress resumes this fall.
And speaking of diversity and legal rights, it's official. Same-sex marriage is legal in 13 states, including New York, following a Supreme Court decision to overturn the Defense of Marriage Act known as DOMA, which prohibited federal recognition of same-sex marriage. June is National Pride Month, and here in Brooklyn, The flags waved high at the 17th annual Pride Parade in Park Slope. As the LGBTQ community celebrates this milestone legislative victory, homophobia is still a huge issue in general, which leads us right into our next segment that we're calling the Community Corner.
I'm a masculine female.
I've encountered situations where people just didn't know what to make of me.
People like me, they struggle in this society to be who they are.
Jeers that I used to get just for, walking outside.
I'm exercising my free will by being who I am.
Some people feel intimidated.
It sucks because I feel like I have no friends.
Male-specific females are not necessarily even gay.
You do not have to go along with what everybody else thinks, wants, and believes. You can be your own person.
There is a need for this project because of the hate crimes, social trauma, unemployment, discrimination, correction rates, emotional trauma, and domestic violence masculine identified females face on a daily basis. This project is crucial in creating awareness, educating, and promoting positive perspectives about members of this demographic.
Tell us about Masculinus and what made you really delve into this particular subject from your own perspective?
Well, it started as a very personal project. Me growing up without powerful examples, people who look like me. In my adulthood, going into my later years, I wanted some personal photographs of women who I identified with, just random women in the street, because I'd had that experience of seeing women in the street with similar energy that I carry. And when I say energy, I'm referring to masculinity, traits, physical traits that are usually associated with me. So I just started taking photographs of random women. I would go up to women and ask them very simple questions. Do you dress that way all the time? Do you walk this way most time? Do you usually stand this way? And immediately they would have some identification with me on some level, and the possibility became turned into a photograph, usually. And I'm very privileged to be a part of this presentation, because the information is there. It is a demographic. It's just the documentation that the project is concerned with, because it's just not domestic, it's a global situation. And Masculinus is a visual empowerment tool for the masses. That's just one part, the media part. There is a services part that is coming. So thus the crowdsource funding page is introducing the media part, and we're going to ask for funding from the public for it. But there's a data part to this that must be obtained and cultivated, and that costs a lot of money.
You have fundraising initiatives.
Yeah, so to answer your question, it is an empowerment tool. It is a visual empowerment tool for the masses through media. And what we're hoping and what we're aiming to do is unifying the masses one documentation at a time.
So what does Brooklyn have to say about these and other topics? Well, it's time to check in with our very own Michael Bellamy, who's in Fort Greene, for his unofficial barbershop poll.
We're at Aqua Grooming in the Clinton Hill section of Brooklyn for our barbershop poll. And already George Zimmerman is on trial for the death of Trayvon Martin. Also, barbershop poll also discussed stop and frisk is a hot topic across the city. All that and more up next on the barbershop poll. Let's go in. As you know, the first week of the George Zimmerman case in the death of Trayvon Martin is in its first week. How do you feel about this case so far?
That case reminded me of Amadou Diallo. I see the injustice of the case. I heard Obama speaking about the case.
I think it has to be a justice on this case, but I don't know, it's just a very sad situation.
According to George Zimmerman, he said he was out of place, he was creeping around the neighborhood, and he felt uncomfortable.
If that's the case, I would truly say that whatever motivation that can lead him to kill is not strong enough to just kill a human being.
Creeping about how? In what way was he creeping? I mean, like, first of all, he wasn't a police officer. He was just security guard. I mean, somebody creeping. According to what I heard, that he made 911 call and they told him to back up. So at that point, you should realize that's not your duty. To take somebody's life because you felt what kind of way? You know, it's unfair. You know, it's just crazy. You know.
Towards the end of this trial, how you think the jurors will lean? You think they'll lean towards guilty or not guilty in the case of George Zimmerman?
I feel what the jury will decide will depend on the jury. And in my opinion, I feel the man should be convicted for the killing of an innocent young man.
First of all, I want to know what kind of jewelry. It's going to be like a mixed jewelry, like black, white, or Puerto Rican, and because it's sad to say. Sometimes it's everything about races, you know. I have to speak up, you know, that's what it is.
Stop and frisk has also become a big issue here in the city. Especially Mayor Bloomberg is all for it. City Council is sort of against it. How do you feel about it?
I feel very disgusting about that, you know, because as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's unfair. It's not right.
You look at it also, he says it's a crime deterrent. City Council is sort of against it. What do you think should happen with stop and frisk?
Like I said, that's not right. That could be you, that could be me, it could be anybody here. Anybody, a man or a woman. We should stop that. It's not happening, you know.
Well, that's a wrap up for the Barbershop Poll. I'm Michael Bellamy. Back to the studio.
Wow, thank you, Michael. We look forward to hearing more of your opinions in this new series that we're calling the Barbershop Poll. You can also post your comments online at bricartsmedia.org or tune in this evening at 8 p.m. for the extended version of this story to give you more food for thought.
And speaking of food, that's my favorite subject. Don't worry though, when we come back, we're going to introduce you to Aaron Watkins, our resident food guru, who's going to show us what's on the menu in our next episode of Urban Grub.
Well, Brooklyn is the new hotspot for everything food, from artisanal pickles to oysters and absinthe. And with me now is our man about town, Aaron Watkins, to tell us more about what's happening on the food scene in Brooklyn. Welcome, Aaron.
Hey, hi. Thanks for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
You know, and it's a good day to talk about food any day. You know, the secret is definitely out. Williamsburg and Bushwick are the go-to places, definitely have become meccas for foodies in Brooklyn. And what we find every day is that there are people coming right across the bridge from Manhattan to check out, you know, these Brooklyn restaurants that are right in our backyard. Some of the places that I had recently an opportunity to check out that are of note is Mesa Culiacan. You know, they're basically taking traditional recipes handed down to them through their families, the way grandmother used to make it and taught their mother, and, you know, taking these foods and actually bringing them to, you know, a very, very willing Brooklyn neighborhood.
So I know you are a man of varied tastes. So tell me about what else you've learned on your way in your own neighborhood of Bushwick.
One place of note is Momo Sushi Shack. The things they're creating there are fantastic. I mean, you know, literally they're able to infuse so many different flavors into these small sort of tapas bites of food. It's truly amazing.
Wait,
great staff.
You have to tell me about, I keep hearing about this some kind of atomic bomb or
yes.
What's it called?
Okay, there's no way to eat this and still look pretty, I will tell you. The spicy McBomb, the tuna.
Spicy McBomb.
Spicy McBomb. The tuna McBomb is what I call it, but it's the spicy McBomb. You have to have these things.
I keep hearing this term, Wagyu beef?
Wagyu beef. It's similar to Kobe beef. Similar to Kobe beef.
Okay.
And they put it in the little rice thing and they press it and they sort of like creme brulee it. You know, it's like a really thin strip.
With the burner.
Yeah, the little creme brulee burner. So it just like gets a little gristle on top and like the fat's released. Wow. It's such a mix of flavors.
Crunchy on the top, juicy in the
garlic
middle.
chips on top.
Ooh.
It's amazing. And even the tofu salad. Tofu salad is absolutely amazing.
Now, you said it was on Bogart?
It's right on Bogart Street between Siegel and Moore. So as soon as you come out the Morgan train stop, it's half a block away.
So, I know you've got one more fabulous place up your sleeve. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, you know, one of the reasons the neighborhood is just so amazing is because of the large Latino population, and so many aspects of the Spanish diaspora are represented. That being said, I was so excited to check out a new Venezuelan cafe, Aperera Guacuco. Had a wonderful time talking to the owner, but you know what, I'm not gonna tell you about it now. Why don't we just go to the tape? So we are in the kitchen with Leonardo, and he's gonna show us how to prepare one of the must-have dishes, the arepas.
We're gonna grab some of the masa, just a little bit of water and salt to prepare the masa. Now, we're just gonna kind of like...
Okay, now it's starting to flatten a little bit?
Yeah.
So where did you get the recipe for your arepas?
What's better than mom's cooking? We'll just let this arepa sit in there about for like 7 minutes.
Sounds good to me. Hungry.
Now we're gonna take our arepas out, leave it in the oven for about approximately 8-10 minutes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So one way to know if our arepas are ready, kind of smack them. The noise that it makes, it's ready to go. Swing your rags over here. And so now we're ready to fill them up. Take a knife. Now we're gonna cut them in half. Nice and hot, fresh out of the oven. We're gonna put these sweet plantains. We're gonna throw about 3 pieces of the sweet plantains inside the arepa. Gonna top it off with white, salty Venezuelan cheese. So you have the sweetness and you have the salty cheese in there, okay?
A meal in your hand.
Shredded beef. That baby up right there. These are our black beans. And now we're gonna top that off with white Venezuelan cheese as well. We actually get this cheese all the way from Miami.
I'm just over here salivating just like you, my friends. That thing looks absolutely fantastic.
So you'll be the judge.
Oh my goodness, okay. I want to just make sure you get a good view of this beautiful arepa.
Oh my goodness, that food is amazing. I'm ready to hop on the L train right now and take my butt out there and get some of that food.
Let's go. It's nothing but a word.
I know, let's go, let's go. Thank you so much, Aaron. It's always a pleasure having you on our show.
Pleasure was all mine, all mine. And I just want to say to the viewers, you know, please get out and support these restaurants. Living in Brooklyn is a privilege, not a right. So take advantage and please act accordingly.
Amen. Amen to that. Well, be sure to tune in next week when Aaron will be back for more Urban Grub.
Well, with all this eating going on, it's definitely time to work it off. We go back to Michael Bellamy with a few interesting health and fitness tips and our regional sports update.
Thanks, Fred. Well, after you get your grub on, working out and washing your clothes is an option at a laundromat, especially when it comes to Anya Winslow's Fit Cycle. Well, the high school football season is right around the corner, and one particular young man is preparing for the upcoming season in the PSAL in a major way.
Well, the biggest thing with Kendall was getting him to get his knee drive up. You know, he's already a fast person. He was fast when he woke up in the morning. But, you know, we talked about those minor muscles that need to be stronger, the hip flexors. Working on his knee drive and his acceleration phase is only going to help him become faster. And doing it on the high incline sprints allows us to monitor his stride length while he's running on the treadmill. And I get to see what his deficiencies are, and we get to fix them every single time. So many athletes, when they take that first step in the 40, they step from right to left. So the biggest thing is getting them to step forward, you know, make that long stride, but also be explosive. So, you know, they can do so much with their body weight, but after a while, you add a little resistance training without the sled because, you know, we're limited with space for right now. So put the bungee on there, get them to jump out, see how they can work with it. You know, most kids their age don't want to train when they don't have to. They feel like they've got it. You know, but when a kid can look at themselves, see something in themselves they want to fix, and then go to someone else and say, can you help me? That to me is humbling, because I remember being their age and not wanting to do that. So for them, it's an experience that I cherish because, you know, playing in the National Football League, I have a great knowledge to give, but kids who are willing to be open vessels and accept that knowledge, it says a lot about them and their character.
He sat out the majority of last season because of a knee injury, but Julian Boyd will get the opportunity to finish what he started for the Blackbirds and return for a sixth season in downtown Brooklyn. And you can bet one thing, the Blackbirds are excited about that. Back to you guys in the studio.
And now let's jump over to BRIC House Cafe right outside our studio, where Teale is having a cup of coffee with Mindy Abovitz, our local music guru, who's going to tell us what's hot this week in Brooklyn's music scene.
Mindy, thank you so much for dropping in.
Thanks for having me, Teale. I love being here.
I love it when you're here. So tell us, what is going on in the local Brooklyn music scene this week? Who's playing that we can't miss?
Well, as usual, there's a ton going on. But tomorrow, Peaches is performing at BAM, which is awesome. The Fox is performing same night at Union Pool. And this Friday, I'll be going to Eleanor Friedberger, one half of Fiery Furnaces, at the Music Hall of Williamsburg. And Teen is opening up for her, and they're my all-time favorite Brooklyn band, made up of mostly sisters. And that's just a taste of what's happening this week.
I'm pretending like I know who those bands are, but I don't, but
you
that's
should know
okay.
who they are. They're great.
Well, that's why you're here, is to inform me, so that's great that you're here. Mindy is also the creator and editor-in-chief of Tom Tom Magazine, a music magazine that you publish right here in Brooklyn, in Bushwick, right? What is in this new issue?
This issue is themed country, so we have a theme every issue, so it's full of country drummers. And then we just threw a party for this issue at Hill Country Barbecue. It was a barbecue joint in the city. And featured some local Brooklyn bands that are country bands, and it was just great.
And eating ribs.
And people were eating ribs.
I was eating macaroni and cheese.
I was eating cornbread, vegetarian. Yeah, it was awesome though. It was great.
That was
a really
fun
great
time. So you also host these great music events all over the city and all over the country, actually. So you just had one coming up this week at Moment PS1 as a screening of one of these events, the oral history of female drummers.
Earlier this year, around January, PS1 Moment allowed me to come in and basically fill the space with drummers.
In a museum.
In the museum. So we did that.
Full video in its entirety is going to be airing on TomTom TV.
That's right.
Speaking of TomTom TV, what other cool videos can we check out this week?
One of my favorite videos on TomTom TV right now is Luscious Jackson's drummer, Kate Schellenbach's interview. She also was the drummer for the Beastie Boys for a long time. So they're getting back together. We interviewed her. You can watch that on TomTom TV.
Luscious Jackson is getting back together.
Yeah,
awesome.
Back together. Another video you can watch would be maybe learning the cajon. Jovia Armstrong has a series of lessons on TomTom TV that you could look up. They're wonderful. And there's also, we just recently uploaded this Canadian artist, Frankie, who deals with the drums, and her Love Letters video is up right now.
Great, so your videos really run the gamut from like instructional videos to music videos to interviews. And they're all exclusive to TomTom TV.
Yeah,
pretty much. Great. Mindy, thank you so much for dropping by.
Thanks for having me.
You're seriously like the coolest person I know.
Ditto.
Thanks.
You can check out more of Mindy and TomTom TV right here, Monday nights, 10 p.m. on Brooklyn Public Network for exclusive music videos, performances, interviews, and more.
Once a bustling industrial district, the Gowanus Canal has been nicknamed Lavender Lake due to toxic buildup and lack of regulation. But this body of water has just been granted Superfund status by the EPA, and with it, new hope as the Gowanus Dredgers Club prepares for their first ever Brooklyn Regatta boat race.
Today we're doing the Gowanus Challenge. It's a fundraising event and also an awareness raising event.
We're expecting boathouses from all over the city of New York to participate in both the fun of a race as well as raising awareness by bringing more people to this contaminated waterway. The response that we typically get is, oh my God, you can't possibly be canoeing that waterway.
When you get it all together, right? The course of the race is sort of an out and back course. We're going to run, I believe, 3 heats, one canoe heat, followed by sort of the open class, which will include stand-up paddle boards, kayaks, rowboats, and anything else that people come up with. I think our strongest competition is going to be my friend Todd, who will also be in a kayak. He's the one I'm the most worried about. Todd's team is Dolphin Rising.
I think I'm a lot slower than he is, but I think he's scared of the water, and I think if I wedge him into a sort of a piling on a bridge or something, and maybe, you know, he's got a really frail boat, I think he might sink easy.
Coming for you. Arrgh! Like 5 of them. Where else would you want them? I need 2 rubber bands.
This costume goes with our boat name, Grease Lightning. My wife Kate and I are dressed as John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
Let's go for the rest.
Started off at the Battle of Brooklyn site at 2nd Street. The first soldiers ever died for America. They died right here. And we're canoeing down the old Gowanus Canal, past one of the most polluted sites in America, the manufactured gas plant. And then we went by Smith and Lion Street, where there was an old tidal mill, and out to the mouth of the canal.
The spectators hopefully are very good friends with one of the racers, and so if one of them win our 2nd place prize, they get to go hopefully out to dinner with them because we have a $200 gift certificate to a local barbecue place on the Gowanus Canal. But in addition, what they are going to walk away with is another love and respect of this shoreline, and that's really the premise and the goal of why we bring people down to experience the dead end of a industrial city street and a shoreline that otherwise might be avoided.
Okay, folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you, Brooklyn, for joining us. I hope you had a good time, and we couldn't have done it without my lovely co-host, Kai Youngblood.
Thank you so much, Fred Brown. And tune in tomorrow when we'll have a very special guest, Danny Simmons. You heard me right. He's the brother of music mogul Russell Simmons. And we'll also get a cooking lesson from the owners of Brooklyn Kitchen.
So thank you for joining us again.
And tune in next time for more BK in the House.